strategy. And I love this quote. I think this sums it up perfectly. People will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Whether that's a good thing or it might be a bad experience. So it may be that you've had, especially the bad thing. This is sometimes as well when people write reviews, and I know often you will get bad reviews that like just do not make sense. Sometimes they're from people that you don't even know, you've never worked with, you know. So that's a whole different thing about those bad reviews. But you may have experienced places where you've gone in and they've made you feel uncomfortable for whatever reason. And because of that, you won't go back, you won't shop there. And over time, you might forget why you didn't like that place, but you'll understand that feeling. You'll keep that feeling with you. So moving on to this multi-sensory branding experience. So you want to enhance the customer experience and create an emotional connection. And we do that through scent, sound, sight, taste, and touch. So here are some facts. People will remember 1% of what we touch, 2% of what we hear, 5% of what we see, 15% of what we taste. But amazingly, it's the smell. What we smell is the top of the list. We remember things by the aroma. So scent, it evokes memories and feelings. It can also help you sell items. And it's the strongest sense. And they reckon that it can generate 75% of emotions. So this term, smell sells. If you think about it, if you are going to sell a house, what do people tell you to do? Yeah, I think we've probably all heard this one. So when they say, if you're going to sell a house, yeah, fresh bread and coffee. That's exactly it. You're putting that in the chat. You know, put the bread on, bake some bread, put the coffee on. And they reckon also that people make their mind up within the first few seconds of walking through your door. When they walk into that hallway, they've almost made the decision whether they like it or not. So when you're selling a house, we all know this stuff, again, hidden in plain sight, about aromas matter. Selling a holiday, so when I used to do the Christmas displays, this was way before you used to get the plug-in, the aroma plugins. There was a company that used to specialize in, it was a machine that was, you know, eventually became the plugins that we have at home. And you would drop oil onto that and it would heat up. And we would use it in the Christmas displays for the smell of pine forest, or when we had trains, it was the when we had a train grotto, the smell of the steam train smoke. They used to put the smell of coconut into travel agents. Remember when we used to buy holidays, when we used to go into travel agents and didn't do it online? They used the smell of coconut because that used to be the smell in oh, there it goes, my mind's gone again. That stuff that you put on, suntan lotion. Coconut was the smell that used to put into suntan lotion. So it would remind people of holidays. So they would think about booking a holiday. And then another one was at Christmas time. You know, if you walk into somewhere and you smell that cinnamon or the festive spice, it can put you in that mood of Christmas or Christmas shopping. Next one is to do with sound. So that can set the mood, the tone. It can also affect people's behavior and their purchase choices. So if you think about that one, what kind of music would you expect in somewhere like McDonald's? What would you expect to hear? And then if you went into a really posh restaurant, what type of music would you expect to hear in there? Because in a restaurant, the type of music that they play whether it's slow music or fast music, can actually affect what customers do. So in somewhere like a fast food restaurant, you know, that's the reason they call it fast food. They want you to go in, get your food, grab your food, move on quickly, next customer. You know, the prices are kept low because they want to churn it out very, very fast. So they will play faster music. If you're going into a nice restaurant where you're going to spend the evening there, you're probably going to end up spending a lot of money, but they want you to be comfortable. They want you to feel relaxed. They may use slow music. Retailers, you know, some retail stores, again, they've got that boom, 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 loud music. It might be because they want to attract a particular audience, you know, or play quiet music. There was a study done with the wine specialists, and what they did was 1 week they played German music, another week they played French music. The week when they played German music, they sold more, guess what? German wines. And the week when they played French music, they sold more bottles of French wine. I mean, it's just like that subliminal stuff that's affecting us. And the things that I'm teaching you are things that the big brands know. The secret sense strategy, you know, when I talked about your silent salesperson, big brands know this, but now you know this, you can start spotting it. Sight. Talked about this with focal points. Illuminated items stand out. Moving items attract attention. So going into a room, that focal point, if the TV was on, it might be illuminated and there's moving items, and you know, that other one, you can hear it. It might be the fireplace, again, that's illuminated, that's moving. You can artificially create the effect of something moving by literally it being you. So when I used to do the windows for the pen shop, it was interesting that people would walk past the windows, but as soon as I went to the windows and started to change the display, people would stop and look. They were intrigued by what's going on, what movement, what's happening. So if you're static on your display and people aren't attracted to it, again, moving around, moving some of the objects around, or if it's something where you can do a demonstration, where you can create something, you know, that act of moving and drawing or writing or creating something, that can attract people's attention. Other thing is with colours, they're associated with your brand, with themes and emotions. So again, if you've done art or photography, you'll know this stuff as well. So brand colours can create a feeling, it can evoke an emotion. So it's not by chance that these big brands are those colourways. They've picked it for a particular reason. It's not by chance that when I did Charlie's Chocolate Factory, what colour was going to pick, you know, a chocolate fountain business. Well, I could have picked yellow, but no, I'm going to pick purple because Cadbury's is purple. Purple is a colour that you do often associate with chocolate. Yeah. My brand colours, my actual Create Intrigue brand colour is purple because it's a creative colour, but actually as a child, purple's always been my favourite colour. When I was younger, I had a purple bedroom as a child. So it might be also that you find that your brand colours are also to do with your personal choices as well. And it might reveal more about your business than you think if you've not really looked into it before. So it's again, it's about grouping. And when I created the metronomes, for this, they came to me with the idea of, can you come up with a character called the metronome, because they paid IP for intellectual property for Noddy and Rupert the Bear, and they didn't want to keep paying the license fee, so they thought if they had their own character, which was a fantastic idea. And again, if you depend on your business, if you want to create characters for your business too. Coming up with the idea though, I realized that Metrocentre, I knew because I always started with the plan, it had 4 different malls. I also knew by being in the Metrocentre in nighttime and working with security that often people would come up to security and tell them that they'd lost their cars. Because it was the biggest shopping centre at the time in Europe, people would park outside, you know, Marks and Spencer's, for example, and then they would exit out another mall, they would think that the car park, they were in the same car park, or indeed the multi-stories especially, and think that the car had been stolen, but in fact they were in a completely different part of the shopping centre. So using colours, it helped with wayfinding. It helped, we create these characters so that they could reference the different parts of the mall. Literally, we were categorising the Metrocentre. And these characters have, you know, and it's about the storytelling as well. You know, when I was saying about your origin story, when we created the metronomes, I wrote stories for each of the characters so that they had a reason for being, and people related to different metronomes because of their stories. When I worked with the Body Shop, I would take inspiration from the Body Shop handbook for ideas. And then for Mother's Day, I would look through that. So when I did the Body Shop window, again, I hardly had any budget for this. In fact, in those days, we just had a black and white printer, photocopier. So what I did was I got some coloured paper. I then did square writing on it rather than an A4 sheet. So I thought, yeah, it won't look like it's just come off a printer if it's square. And then I bought a roll of wallpaper and used that as the backdrop. So everything that I'm telling you, a lot of this stuff, it's about the ideas and doesn't actually cost you anything. Or if it does, I want this to be low cost. You don't have to invest in a lot. When we're looking at colours, so you have colours that you might relate to particular brands or particular times of year or promotions. So for Christmas, we think about the red, green, gold, but it can be any range of colours. And then you've got the seasons as well. So you can choose what colours you use. So you might have a brand colour, but you might have colours that you use for different seasons as well. When we move on to taste, so this might be free samples and giveaways. You're getting a taste of something. It could be product demos. It could be taster sessions. So when we talk about taste, you might say, but I don't have a product. I know Silver does have an actual product that you can taste, but it's thinking outside that box as to how people can get a taste of what you do. This example, IKEA. Oh, if you ever want to think about, you know, display and the way that they present things, go for a walk around IKEA because there are masterclasses happening in there all the time. You know, they could just sell the products. It could just be a warehouse, but they set the scenes first, don't they? And then they have people at times interacting with you. They do this at Costco as well, where they'll give you a taste of something. So I went into IKEA, this lovely girl was standing there with that tray. You know, this was in the kitchen area. So biscuits, she'd taken that category, but disrupted it and moved it elsewhere. And she said to us, would you like a taste? Oh, would I not like a taste of a biscuit as I walked past? Did I go into IKEA to buy biscuits? Absolutely not. Did I come out of IKEA having bought biscuits? Yes. Did I buy one packet of biscuit? No, I bought 3 because she had 3 different choices and I couldn't decide. And there was a special offer on. You can see how this kind of works. Certainly works for me. So this touch thing is try before you buy. If people can actually feel the quality and texture, sometimes people do like to pick things up. You know, and it might be annoying if you've got a product where you're thinking, I don't want them to handle it. It's because they like to touch things. It's a tactile experience, but actually it's been proven that if they've got it in their hands, they're more likely to buy it. So some people, for example, if they're selling cushions, they might stand there holding a cushion. And then when people come past, you know, and they're talking to them, they might actually hand the cushion over to them and say, oh, you can feel how squidgy it is. They're more likely then to buy that product if they've actually experienced it and touched it. So there's that thing about try before you buy. The combination of the kind of the taste and the touch. So with cars, for example, would you buy a car without first doing a test drive? Well, some people do, but a lot of people will go along to the car showroom, and the first thing that the salesman will do, if he thinks you're interested, is say, do you want to go for a test drive? And they don't drive you around unless you haven't got a license. But normally they'll ask for your license and they'll give you the keys. And that blows my mind, because you think, this is a really expensive car. You know, I could sit in the passenger seat and still get a bit of an experience, but you not get the driving experience. So they know that if you get behind the wheel, you are more likely to buy the car. Again, back to IKEA. So whether you realised it or not, when you walk into these room environments, scent. So what scent would you expect in this environment? The scent of fresh linen, very kind of clean scent. If you look up in that top left-hand corner, there's an aroma machine. So that's a more industrial one. Next to that, there's a speaker. So there's a sound. Sometimes when you go into IKEA, you hear tweeting birds. Birds do get into IKEA, you know, into the warehouse, but sometimes they will put that sound through. Sight in the background. Look at that lights on in the window. Actually, that's not a window. That's a fake window, because IKEA is in a warehouse. And then they've got lighting in there. They've got quite a low mood, subdued lighting in there. From a touch point of view, they let you sit on the sofas so you can experience them. You can draw those curtains, you know, you can pick up the cushions, that kind of thing. So it's about touching it. However, this room set is completely different to this room set. The mood's completely different. So there is a smell in here. Sometimes if you walk through IKEA, you can smell that burning wood, whether they've still got that or whether they've had a lot of people complain and go, we think there's a fire, whether that still exists, but there used to be the smell. I love that wood smoke smell, because that takes me back to being a child. Then they've got the sight thing, you know, they've got the focus, they've got that mirror, haven't they, above the fireplace. They've got a light. I think they've missed a trick here, because behind my chocolate fountain, I had a fake flame that illuminated it. They don't have anything in that fireplace. So I think, you know, there's something I should tell IKEA, they've missed a trick here. But that touch, again, there's different textures in this one. The textures are more velvet, whereas the other ones, they were more cotton and crisp linen. Next time you go to IKEA, you will see it completely different. So the secret scent strategy. So the scent, the smell of chocolate, of course. Sound, we didn't actually put any sound with this, because normally there was a band or there was a DJ, there was sound in that environment. From a sight point of view, we had the illuminated base. Part of the reason behind having that base was also so we could keep it clean and we could keep the items topped up as we went along. When we went into the events, they would often say, I would say a chocolate fountain, they'd go, you're in that corner. They would push the chocolate fountain in a lot of environments to the back corner, because the brides had normally paid for the chocolate fountain rather than the hotel. We were in addition, like if they'd hired a disco. So we would get put into a very dark corner. When the base was illuminated, that was all you could see. And it was the chocolate fountain that needed to be the stunning thing. So I wanted to backlight it, and I created this, what I called a fountain flame. It was a special effects machine that we had. It's a piece of silk, which actually has lights illuminating it and a fan to make it move. So there's movement and lights. So people walked in that room and they would go, wow, look at the chocolate fountain. Or if they've never seen one in their life before, like I hadn't before I set up the business, they'll go, wow, what's that? And they'd be drawn towards a chocolate fountain. So you can see how I'm using all of the sense strategies here in the business. So the question is to you, looking at this, you know, how has Corinne applied it? And actually, on this first one there, she had put a little bit of illumination with the lights there, but there was other things that she could do using the secret sense strategy to enhance that display. So thinking about your business, how are you going to use the secret sense strategy? What things can you do to enhance, to maybe offer opportunities for people to experience your business in different ways? So whether you do taster sessions, it might not be that it's something that you do at the event. It might be something that you invite people to do afterwards. So thinking about this one, you know, what is it that you are going to do to appeal to the different senses? And then the next thing we're going to do is move on to your checklist before we come off the secret sense strategy. So I want to give you some time. First of all, it's in your book. You have got a page on the secret sense strategy is number 8. Sorry, not number 8, number 9. Well, you have got number 8 to make notes. You've got 9 to focus on sensory branding. And then we will jump onto page 10, which is just the checklist of all of that. So I'm going to move back now onto secret sense strategy. And again, give you a minute or two just to look at that. I'm reading the chat here and I see that Louise has said that she used to go and crochet in the displays in Manchester IKEA. That's yeah, you've created intrigue with that one, crochet. I'm presuming that they invited you in to do that, or did you just used to sit in the displays because they were comfortable? You've created intrigue with that one. So yeah, we need to hear more about that story at some point. When we get together, we need to hear about the crochet at IKEA. That's the thing though, isn't it? How it will then attract people's attention, you know, and people will come across and they'll go, what is it that you're doing? So hopefully you've got some ideas now about how you can apply a secret sense strategy. And the last part, before we move on to the next section, which is the pop-up solutions, all of these things are interlinked. So you've got a checklist. As I say, don't feel that you have to tick all of the boxes. However, this checklist gives you a way of looking at each of the items and thinking, have I considered that? It might be that it's not appropriate for what it is that you do, but you might want to consider it. So going through the less is more, grouping, pyramids, repetition and focal point, they're the 5-star standards. Then it was the power of 3, the rule of thirds, and the triple impact. So 3 parts to the power of 3. And then the secret sense strategy: scent, sound, sight, taste, and touch.